What is your "we never speak of this again" story? It was my ex-husband's lowest point in his life, but it was pretty funny from my point of view. My ex-husband had to have thyroid surgery a few years ago. We were still married at the time. He was having a lot of swelling, so they gave him some painkillers to take. Anyone who has taken this painkiller before knows that it might work very well, but it's not without side effects. One of those side effects happens to be constipation. We both knew this would happen because my husband and I are both doctors. I urged him to keep eating fiber or take a stool softener or something. He laughed it off. "Babe, my bowels are amazing. Nothing's going to happen to me." You might think that this was odd given that he was a doctor and fully knew that constipation was a side effect of the medication he was on, but if you knew him you would not be surprised. My ex-husband is one of those guys that is good at almost everything and very competitive. He was a successful college athlete and went to one of the best med schools in the country and graduated with excellent grades. He also had a significant ego, and felt that things that applied to normal people didn't apply to him, because he was exceptional. And he was usually right. Just not this time. Days passed and he continued to heal, requiring less and less of the medication. I noticed his appetite hadn't picked up much, but I thought that might be because he just had surgery. That night I found him on the couch clutching his stomach and scowling. Immediately I knew what was up and said as gently as I could, "Now will you take the stool softener?" He finally relented and took the stool softener in hopes of producing a poop. Hours passed. Stool softeners don't work instantly, but that wasn't the only issue. Since he had refused to take anything before, the stool softeners were working against days of hardened poo clogging up his biological pipes. My husband began pacing and sweating. He has a pretty high pain tolerance and I began to feel alarmed. I massaged his poor, distended tummy, and tried our best to comfort him. He was always in really good shape and didn't have much subcutaneous fat, so you could literally feel the lumps of hard poo. After hours of stool softeners, tummy rubbing and fluids, he started to really sweat. Now I was really worried. Suddenly he leapt up, ran into the bathroom, and slammed the door. I sat outside waiting for a noise, a fart, a wail, something. Finally, I heard him sob my name. I walked in and my cool, aloof husband was bawling his eyes out, sitting on the toilet, and pushing on his stomach like an uncomfortable little kid. He turned green and I immediately recognized that face. I had just enough time to grab a trash can to catch the vomit that came streaming out, seconds before an enormous shart and a huge blast of diarrhea turd chunks. There was my confident surgeon husband, crying, barfing, shitting, and hanging onto my arm for dear life. It was so painful to watch, and to this day he says it's the only time he's truly been in 10 out of 10 pain. He made me promise that I would never tell anyone about his ordeal, and I kept it secret for a few years, but it was just too good to keep to myself.